She handed it to you with a smile, and you had no idea what she was actually handing you. That moment, the one where you said thank you, maybe felt a little awkward and then moved on, that moment communicated something to her. Something about how you see yourself. Something about what you believe you deserve. Something about where you think you stand with her. And you had no idea any of that was happening, because on the surface, it looked like something simple. It looked like a gift. Here's the thing most men don't realize. Women are not casual about what they give. Not really. Even when it feels casual, even when it's small, even when she says it's nothing, there is almost always a layer underneath the object itself. A question being asked, a measurement being taken, a test being run so quietly that most men never even register it happened. There is a woman in your life right now. Maybe someone you're dating, someone you're close to, someone you've known for years, who may have already given you one of these 5 gifts. And what you did in that moment told her something about you that you never intended to reveal. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what each of these gifts actually means, why certain gifts are not acts of generosity, but acts of measurement, and what accepting them without awareness has been quietly costing you. Most men think a gift is just a gift. But when a woman chooses what to give a man, she is almost never thinking about the object. She is thinking about what the object will tell her about him. This is worth sitting with for a moment because it reframes everything that follows. Women are socialized from a very young age to communicate indirectly, to express desire, concern, curiosity, and yes, dominance through gesture and action rather than direct statement. A man tends to say what he means. A woman tends to do something that means what she is not saying. Gifts sit right at the center of that tendency. They are actions that carry encoded meaning, and the encoding is almost always about relationship positioning, about where she believes she stands relative to you, and where she is trying to find out you stand relative to her. Think back to a gift you once received from a woman that felt slightly off. Not wrong, exactly, not unpleasant, just slightly off. A small friction you couldn't name. You probably pushed it aside because you didn't want to seem ungrateful, didn't want to overthink it, didn't want to make something out of nothing. That feeling you dismissed? That was your instinct recognizing something your conscious mind wasn't equipped to decode yet. That is what this video gives you the language for. The 5 gifts we're going to cover today don't look dangerous. They don't look manipulative. A couple of them don't even look significant. That is precisely what makes them worth understanding, because the gifts that carry the most psychological weight are almost always the ones that arrive looking innocent. But before we get to the most overlooked one, the 5th one, the one almost no man ever catches, we need to start at the beginning. Because once you understand why these gifts exist at all, the specific ones will make complete sense. It comes wrapped nicely. It might even be something you would have bought yourself eventually. But there is a specific feeling that comes with this one. A feeling you probably pushed aside because you didn't want to seem ungrateful. The improvement gift is the most common one on this list. It is the cologne she bought you without being asked. The shirt that happens to be exactly what she thinks you should be wearing instead of what you were already wearing. The gym bag, the skincare kit, the haircut suggestion made tangible as a gift card. On the surface, these look like thoughtfulness. And sometimes, genuinely sometimes, that is all they are. Context always matters here. But there is a specific version of this gift that carries a very different psychological signature, and learning to tell the two apart is what gives you real understanding. When a woman who genuinely admires a man gives him a gift, that gift tends to be specific to him. It references something he said, something he loves, something that reflects her attention to who he already is. When a woman gives an improvement gift, the corrective kind, the gift tends to be about who she thinks he should become. It is generic in a particular way. It is aimed at a version of him that she has decided is better than the current one. And underneath the generosity, if you pay close attention, there is a quiet evaluation, a positioning of herself as the one who sees what needs improving and who has the standing to address it. Now, you might be thinking, couldn't you just be trying to help? And yes, occasionally, genuinely, yes. But here is the detail that separates a caring gesture from a subtle hierarchy signal. Watch what happens when you don't use it. When you receive a genuine gift, a woman feels pleased that she thought of you. When you receive an improvement gift and don't act on it, don't wear the shirt, don't use the cologne, she tends to notice in a way that feels slightly personal. She may bring it up. She may seem quietly unsatisfied. Because the gift was never really about the object. The gift was about whether you would accept her editorial opinion of you. The man who accepts this gift without awareness has just signaled something. He has told her, without words, that he is willing to be reshaped, that her vision of him carries more authority than his own. That is not a dynamic that tends to increase her respect for him over time. Receiving a gift graciously is not the same as accepting the premise underneath it. That distinction is worth holding on to. But the improvement gift is at least visible. The next one on this list is far more subtle, because it doesn't look like a power move at all. It looks like affection. This one won't feel like a trap when she gives it to you. It will feel like closeness. That's what makes it worth understanding. The dependency gift works differently from the improvement gift. Where the improvement gift tells you what she thinks of you, the dependency gift is designed, often without conscious intent, to keep you returning to her. It creates a tether, not a visible one, an emotional and logistical one that only becomes apparent once you notice the feeling of obligation it generates. The examples of this are specific and worth naming clearly. A key to her apartment given early and casually, framed as convenience, before real intimacy has been established. A streaming subscription she sets up in her name and mentions you can use, which means you go through her to use it. A standing invitation framed as a gift. You can always come here when you need space, said in a way that makes accepting her space feel like the natural default. None of these are inherently problematic on their own. What matters is the pattern, the timing, and the feeling they create. Psychologists who study attachment behavior have observed something they call proximity maintenance, the tendency of anxiously attached individuals to create systems that keep their attachment figure close, often through gestures that appear generous on the surface. The dependency gift is a behavioral expression of this. It is a gift that solves a problem she created, or creates a convenience that runs through her. And once it's in place, the psychological accounting has already begun. You feel, without being told to feel it, that you owe her access, presence, reciprocity, a return on her investment in you. Of course, this is not always a calculated strategy. Most women who do this are not sitting down and designing a trap. It is often an anxiety response, a way of hedging against loss without directly asking for reassurance. That does not make the effect on you any less real, and it does not mean you should accept it without awareness. The tell here is a question you can ask yourself quietly, without drama. Ask, does using this gift require her involvement? Does it require me to come to her, contact her, or be visible to her in order to benefit from it? If the answer is yes, the gift is not really for your convenience. It is for her reassurance. The dependency gift works through what it creates after you accept it. The next gift works differently. It works through what it measures the moment you receive it. She hands you something expensive, not for your birthday, not for any occasion, and she watches. Not in an obvious way, but she watches. The status pro gift tends to arrive early, before real intimacy, before genuine history, before you have established a clear relational dynamic with each other. It is conspicuous, branded or visibly costly or demonstrably beyond what the occasion would call for. And the moment she hands it to you, she is already in observation mode. Not cruelly, not calculatingly in the way a con artist might be, but she is watching, with genuine curiosity, to see who you are. Here is what she is looking for. She wants to know whether receiving something valuable makes you visibly uncomfortable, which suggests you are a man with a strong sense of his own standing, who does not want to be in an unearned receiving position. She wants to see whether you immediately try to restore balance, whether you start planning how to reciprocate to a proportionate degree, which tells her your nervous system reads imbalance as a problem to fix. And she wants to see whether you accept it too easily, too smoothly, with no friction at all, which suggests you are comfortable being on the receiving end of a woman's resources, which carries its own signal about the relational dynamic you default to. None of these responses is inherently wrong, but each one tells her something she will file away. And the men who perform best in this moment, almost without exception, are the ones who respond with warmth and genuine appreciation, but who also, naturally and without making it a point, maintain a sense of their own ground. They are pleased. They are not destabilized. They are not scrambling to rebalance. They receive it like a man who is used to being respected, not like a man who is surprised by it or unsure what to do with it. The timing tell for this gift is worth remembering. Generous gifts given inside an established, trusting relationship mean something different from generous gifts given before that trust exists. The earlier the gift arrives, the more likely it is that it carries an observational purpose, because she does not know you well enough yet to be giving from pure generosity. She is giving to learn. Now we've covered gifts that change you, gifts that bind you, and gifts that test you. The next one is quieter than all of them, and it almost never gets recognized as what it actually is. This one will make you feel something. That's the point. And by the time you feel it, the effect has already started. The nostalgia gift arrives at a specific moment, not at random, not out of pure warmth, though it will feel that way. It arrives when something has shifted, when you have pulled back slightly, when a conversation created distance, when she senses she is losing psychological ground with you. And what she offers in that moment is not an object exactly. It is a memory, a reference to something shared, a photograph printed and framed, a small item that references a specific moment between you, a song made into something physical, a callback to a time when things felt uncomplicated. The effect on your nervous system is immediate and real. Something softens. The recent tension feels smaller against the backdrop of that earlier warmth. You remember why you valued this. You feel the pull of what you had together. And she has, without a single direct conversation about the distance between you, redirected the emotional current back toward her. Before we move to the final gift, there is one additional layer here that most explanations skip over entirely. The nostalgia gift is not always a manipulation. In a secure, healthy woman, a sentimental gesture is exactly what it looks like. Love expressed through memory and care. The difference is, again, in the timing. A secure woman gives sentimental gifts in moments of closeness. An anxious one gives them in moments of distance. The gift is identical. The impulse behind it is not. When the nostalgia gift appears at an inflection point, right after you pulled back, right after a difficult exchange, right when you were beginning to reassess, that timing is the signal, not the gift itself. The mistake most men make here is simply feeling the feeling without asking what prompted the timing, receiving it, softening, returning, without ever noticing that the gift arrived at the exact moment it would be most effective. 4 down. And they all have something in common. They are visible enough to notice once you know what to look for. But the 5th one? This is the one almost no man ever identifies, because it doesn't look like a gift at all. Remember what I told you at the start? That there is a woman in your life who may have already given you one of these, and that what you did in that moment told her something you never intended to reveal? We are at that moment now. Because this final one, this is the gift most men not only miss, but accept with gratitude and confusion in equal measure, without ever understanding what just happened to them. She didn't give you an object. She gave you something she says cost her. And somehow, from that moment forward, everything shifted, and you're still not sure how. The sacrifice gift is the most difficult to identify because it bypasses your rational mind entirely. It lands in your nervous system before your thoughts can catch it. She gave up something significant, a job opportunity, a plan with friends, a personal goal, something she framed as a sacrifice. And she made sure, gently, naturally, without making it dramatic, that you knew about it. Not in a guilt-inducing way, in a soft, almost reluctant way, as if she barely wanted to mention it. And that restraint made it land harder. What happens in a man's mind when he learns a woman sacrificed something for him, before he asked her to, before the relationship warranted it, is a cascade of responses he has very little control over. His protector instinct activates, his gratitude deepens, his sense of obligation rises, and underneath all of that, something more specific, a feeling that he must now be worth what she gave up. That walking away from this, or pulling back, or not reciprocating at the level of her sacrifice would make him something he does not want to be. Ungrateful, unworthy, cold. Psychologists call this reciprocity pressure, the felt obligation to match or exceed a gift given at personal cost. It is one of the most powerful social forces in human behavior. And when it is triggered by a romantic partner, it becomes almost impossible to evaluate clearly because the emotional stakes are already so high. This is especially acute for men in the 35 to 65 range, for a specific reason. By this stage of life, most men have developed real empathy. They have watched enough relationships unfold to know that effort matters, that investment matters, that the people who show up deserve to be treated accordingly. Those qualities are genuine strengths, but they are also the exact vulnerabilities the sacrifice gift reaches for. The more emotionally developed you are, the more effectively this gift works on you, because you are the kind of man who takes it seriously when someone gives something up for you. The question to ask yourself, quietly, without accusation, simply as a tool for clarity, is this: did I ask for this? Did I genuinely benefit from what she gave up? And do I now feel I owe her something I never agreed to? If the answer to that last question is yes, you are inside the dynamic, not trapped, not victimized, just inside it. And knowing you're inside it is the entire difference. Here is the reframe worth carrying. Recognizing the sacrifice gift is not about becoming suspicious of the women in your life. It is not about assuming the worst of their intentions, because again, most of this happens without conscious calculation. It is about being a man who can receive clearly, who can feel genuine gratitude without feeling manufactured debt, who can appreciate what someone offers without letting the offering restructure the balance of the relationship before he has decided that is what he wants. A man who understands this gift does not receive it with coldness. He receives it with warmth, with real acknowledgement, and with his own ground still beneath his feet. 5 gifts, 5 different mechanisms. But when you step back and look at all of them together, they are pointing at the same thing. Every gift on this list, the improvement gift, the dependency gift, the status probe, the nostalgia gift, the sacrifice, each one is a form of communication, a question being asked through action rather than words. And the question, underneath all 5, is always some version of the same thing. Where do I stand with you? What will you allow? How much of yourself will you give to me, and what does it cost you? Women are not always aware they are asking these questions. That is important to hold on to. This is not a list of feminine tactics to guard against. It is a map of behavioral patterns that arise when someone is navigating desire, uncertainty, and connection. Because those things are genuinely complicated, and people find indirect ways to probe for the answers they need. What changes for you, now that you have this map, is not your trust in women. What changes is your self-awareness. You are no longer just receiving. You are receiving with understanding. You can feel gratitude without feeling obligation. You can be warm without being reshaped. You can acknowledge what someone gave without letting it silently renegotiate the terms of the relationship. You don't need to overanalyze every gift from this point forward. One gift, in isolation, rarely tells a complete story. What tells the story is the pattern, the timing, the context, the feeling in your body when it arrives, and what happens to the dynamic afterward. You already have better instincts than you realize. You have felt these things before. You just didn't have language for them. Now you do. I want to ask you something in the comments. Which of these 5 have you received? You don't have to name her, just drop the number in the comments. I read every single one. If this kind of insight is useful to you, the kind that doesn't tell you what to think, but gives you the tools to see more clearly, then stay close to this channel. This is what we do here. In the next video, I'm going to show you something completely different. The 5 things a woman clocks about a man in the first 60 seconds of seeing him. Things you've never been told she's even noticing. That one is worth staying for.